Gentlemen, like my colleagues, want to extend my gratitude and appreciation for your service on January 6th and since then, what you've had to go through. I was on the House floor like my colleagues on the 6th when I was told that a violent mob had breached the Capitol. And it's because of your service, it's because of you and your colleagues that we're here today, because you were literally the last line of physical defense, laying your life on the line for democracy. My time will be limited, so I'll be asking questions of Officer Hodges and Sergeant Gannell, primarily about the weapons that you observed and how they were used. Officer Hodges, you were in a unique position because you were down Constitution. You were closer to the White House to start, as you indicated in your testimony. During the morning and the early afternoon on the 6th, what did you hear specifically about guns and explosives that had been discovered by your fellow officers?
I was listening on the radio to our gun recovery unit, working the crowd. What we usually try to do is wait for the crowd to disperse before making arrests. That way we don't set off the crowd, set off a riot. So I think they might have identified people of interest that they never got a chance to address, and they were working the crowd to try and confirm reports of firearms on certain people, but it's also difficult to do given the nature of the crowd and how many there were. When I heard the REOD confirm the existence of a device, there was only one thing it could be, explosives. But we in 42 we had our own objective, our own mission, so we couldn't really. We scanned the crowd, but these people, they know how to conceal their weapons. So on a big avenue like Constitution, you can't really. It's difficult to detect the print, or if it's in a backpack, there's really not much you can do. But we continue to scan the crowd and find what we could. But mostly it was up to our other units to make those discoveries.
You talked about, in response to Representative Cheney, you talked about the gear that the individuals were wearing. So combined with what you saw visually, with what you had heard on the radio about guns, that all kind of led you to give pause about the next few hours, correct?
Absolutely. Once we got to the Capitol and and we were fighting, I was wondering, how many more bombs are there? What's the trigger? Is it going to be a cell phone? Is it on a timer? How many guns are there in this crowd? If we start firing, is that the signal to them to set off the explosives? However many there are in the city, is that the signal for them to break out their firearms and shoot back? So that's the reason, why I didn't shoot anyone, and I imagine why many others didn't, because, like I said before, there were over 9,000 of the terrorists out there with an unknown number of firearms and a couple hundred of us, maybe. So we could not, if that turned into a firefight, we would have lost. And this was a fight we couldn't afford.